We are at Indian River State College celebrating all the hard work that our civic students have been doing this year in researching public policy. This is the 9th annual Project Citizen District Showcase. We have 15 projects today that are showing all of their work on a local or statewide concern. They have done research on how to solve that problem and have created an action plan. Our students have worked really hard and we're really excited to see all that they have done. The top 3 projects will be sent on to Tallahassee for review, and then we will find out who gets to go on to the state finals in May. We're so proud of our students.
Hello, my name is Kenzie Kemerson.
Hello, my name is Christine Steinola.
Hello, my name is Jackson Mollet.
Hi, my name is Lainey Keys, and we're from Palm Point.
The problem panel explains how a 5-day school week poses a problem and how a 4-day school week has many benefits. First, the summary demonstrates how a 4-day school week saves a lot of money and how the school can use the savings for equipment, textbooks, and more. The summary also describes how grades improve with a 4-day school week and how students get better grades on their FSAs and standard tests. It also shows how a 5-day school week causes students to get increasingly tired and stressed. Teachers in a 5-day school week may get very low salary, which is changed by the 4-day school week. They also may not have enough time to grade their work. Articles used in the problem panel talk about how other districts, how they achieved a 4-day school week, and how it impacted their schools. Many parents are concerned about things like daycare for their children. There are also many solutions to problems like these that will be further clarified in the solution panel. Surveys along with survey results show how students feel about the 4-day school week. A big majority of students say yes and only a few say no. These results are out of middle school and 5th grade. Graphs show what other schools experience and the advantages of a 4-day school week. This is how a problem panel shows how a 4-day school week is very beneficial and how a 5-day school week is bad.
Welcome. This is the alternative panel. I'll be explaining our alternatives policy, the graphs, and survey results. To begin with, alternative 1 is no school on Monday. Advantages for that would be less stressful, teacher would have more days to plan, and the school will save a lot of money because buses aren't going to be used, lights, monitors, and etc. Alternative 2 is that there should be a half a day of school for the whole year. Advantages for that would be you'd have more time to relax, catch up on any missing work, and spend time with your family and friends. The graph on our panel shows that a loss of money over time and how a 4-day school week or 4.5-day school week will help get back this money. Finally, the last thing I'm going to be talking about is the survey results. These petition results say that my school is supportive of having a 4-day school week. Now we transition to our policy panel.
Hi, my name is Jackson. Our policy is that students have to have every Monday off of school. It states on proposing a public policy that there has been better test scores when districts switch to a 3-day weekend. According to both the U.S. and Florida Constitution, this public policy is constitutional. As you can see here, there are both teacher and parent letters of support. Over here is the benefits of the schedule. That includes improved attendance, student achievement, ACT scores increase, decreased dropout rate, improved climate and morale, and increased time on task. Now on to the action plan panel.
As I have previously stated, creating a 4-day school week would save money, create less stress, and eliminate missing school. We sent around surveys, got letters of support, and made phone calls to other districts. The 4-day policy can create students to feel less stressed and let students have more family time. On the Mondays when parents don't want students staying home, there can be a care center that will open at the schools and the teachers can get extra pay. We also have a table showing the physical benefits, psychological benefits, and social benefits. We also have a bumper sticker on our board showing the support. Thank you for your time.
My name is Molly Gillard.
My name is Alexis Benton-Gannon.
My name is Jamie Ponsetti.
My name is Delita DeCambry, and we are from Lincoln Park Academy. During the duration of our speech, 16 to 20 people will be trafficked, as 2 people are trafficked every minute. Florida is the 3rd largest state for human trafficking in the U.S. Our class has concluded that human trafficking is a very serious problem in South Florida. Human trafficking is the process of illegally abducting and selling men, women, and children to different parts in our community. For example, according to T.C. Palm, there was a human trafficking ring found in Fort Pierce. The 2 men who were controlling the ring were trafficking women ages 20 to 35. There were also 604 human trafficking cases in 2017. Those in our community are greatly affected by human trafficking. Human trafficking brings crimes into our community, such as drugs, slavery, etc. It's a serious problem and it's happening right here in our community. There are many disagreements about human trafficking. Some people believe that human trafficking is not a serious problem in our community. It may be because not everyone sees it happening. According to Polaris, which is a website in which you can get facts about human trafficking, some signs of a victim of human trafficking include poor physical health, poor mental health, and lack of control. Someone can be human trafficked for various reasons, such as them being promised job opportunities that never came true, or they can be tricked on social media to meet someone. This is a problem that involves everyone. The government should be involved in this problem because not one person alone can stop human trafficking, and we must work together as a community to stop this crime and bring justice to the victims. Just because you don't see human trafficking happening doesn't mean it's not there.
After looking over and analyzing the problem, our class came up with 3 alternate policies to help solve it. Primarily, our first alternate policy is to raise more awareness about human trafficking. Raising more awareness about human trafficking can help citizens understand the danger of it. A disadvantage to this policy would be that it wouldn't be able to help the victims that were already trafficked. However, an advantage would be that it could help prevent people from getting trafficked in the first place, as they would be more aware about the problem. Another advantage would be that it is an inexpensive way to raise awareness. There are also controversies and conflict around the policy, such as the question as how to stop human trafficking. Moreover, our second alternate policy is to get more on-hand enforcement. Currently, there is a task force for human trafficking in Florida, but we feel that there could be more readily available and on-hand enforcement to help lessen the number of individuals trafficked. One disadvantage would be that for the policy to work, all police officers would have to take required classes, and not all might want to. Another disadvantage is paying the officers sufficiently. However, an advantage to the policy is that it would help decrease the number of people trafficked. Controversy and conflict around the policy is that not many people would agree with more police officers on the streets, as some individuals think that there are already enough. Finally, our third policy is sending victims of trafficking to rehab instead of jail. This would help the victims get healthier, physically and mentally, better than prison would. Anyhow, a disadvantage to this policy is the cost for building another rehab. An advantage would be that victims would be in a physically and mentally better shape than if they were to be incarcerated after human trafficking. Another advantage is that rehab is significantly less costly than incarcerating the victims of human trafficking. A controversy and conflict is that some people would feel safer knowing that those who had anything to do with human trafficking were in prison. Overall, human trafficking is a very serious but unknown problem. Just because you don't see it happening doesn't mean it's not there.
Our class decided the best public policy is to give victims of human trafficking the option to go to a rehabilitation center instead of going to jail. Victims of human trafficking are forced to commit crimes by their traffickers and are being prosecuted as criminals. The local government is responsible for building rehab centers. Government officials have released many public policies since 1910 to lessen the number of victims in human trafficking. The latest policy being the Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act of 2013 and the National Defense Authorization Act of 2013. The National Defense Authorization Act, Sections 1702 to 1707, give governmental agencies the ability to terminate without penalty any contract or grant by U.S. law with any organization or individual that engages in human trafficking. Research has showed people just ignore the laws and continue to traffic humans. There is only one rehab center in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, called Place of Hope. Some advantages are that less victims will be put into jail, they can get help, and once they are fully recovered, victims can give information about the harassers and they can eventually reunite with their families. A rehab center also raises awareness for human trafficking. The disadvantages are building and maintaining the rehabilitation center. Our policy does not violate the U.S. or Florida Constitution nor the Bill of Rights. We are simply trying to stop human trafficking and help the victims. Just because you don't see it happening doesn't mean it's not there.
Our class policy is to create a program for human trafficking victims to opt into a rehabilitation center instead of jail. We must take action because even though we don't see human trafficking happening, doesn't mean that it's not there. The first step to building a rehab center for the victims is to establish criteria in courts for sending victims to rehab. One criteria would be to see if the individuals in court show signs of being trafficked. If all of these criteria are passed, then the individual can be sent to the rehab center. Residents that may live nearby may need to be influenced. A group that we could influence is the South Florida Human Trafficking Task Force. According to their website, the mission is to rescue and protect victims of human trafficking, successfully prosecute traffickers, and educate the communities in the South Florida area. Our plan with the rehab center focuses on something called the 4 Ps. We want to prevent the victims from getting put in jail. We also want to protect the victims by reintegrating them back into a healthy lifestyle. Prosecution includes working with victims to help identify trafficking offenders and bring justice. The last P, partnerships, is where the South Florida Human Trafficking Task Force could help us. We can establish the criteria in local courts by getting it approved by the local judicial branch. We can then start to work together and build a rehabilitation center in St. Lucie County, and hopefully establish even more rehab centers in Florida.
We're from Northport, KA.
Oh, hi, I'm Meadows Wantig from Northport K-8.
Hi, I'm Isabella Cabral from Northport K-8.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Duffy from Northport K-8.
So the title of our board is Take a Shot at Vaccines, and the whole purpose of our project was to make sure that their knowledge is expanded so that they know the importance of vaccinations and how it affects their lives. And it really is beneficial, while other people think that it's harmful, but it's not. And our whole purpose is to try to inform people. We interviewed people and we notified people on the importance of it and what it can help and the benefits of it.
Many people make assumptions of vaccines that they're very harmful and they can cause autism and death. That has happened in the past, but many people aren't looking at the bigger picture because vaccinations can help reduce the amount of deaths gratefully, and many people just take opinions from one or two people saying, oh, this is going to be so harmful for my children, I am not going to get a vaccination. But people aren't looking at the bigger picture of what it can do for our community and the population.
My name is Leslie.
My name is Diana.
My name is Jeremiah from the School Samuel Games Academy.
Our topic is non-lethal law enforcement alternatives, and our problem is firearms are not being properly handled, causing unnecessary injuries and death.
So our solution to this problem is to help prevent unnecessary injuries by finding alternatives for cops to use and different firearms.
I have actually seen before somebody getting pulled out of their car, and before has seen people get guns pointed at them because of cops actually thinking that they have lethal weapons. Death forces, they should use guns for death forces such as cars, pencils, knives, and guns.
Our action plan is to replace weapons for less deaths, such as tasers, rubber bullets, hollow padded clubs, keeping cameras on all the time for evidence, and keeping our community a safe place.
This graph shows the number of people shot to death by the police in the United States in 2017 through 2018 as of June by race.
And then this one is a percentage of all of those killed by police in the U.S. that were unarmed by race from 2015 through 2017.
And this is a pie chart of the races of people who had died from 2004 to 2013.
I'm Sophie Passiati.
I'm Jasmine Reed Sweet.
I'm Mariah Johnson.
I'm Patrick Latham.
The St. Lucie Estuary and the Atlantic Ocean that borders the St. Lucie County have become highly polluted by toxic algae. People have been physically harmed by touching the toxic algae or inhaling its fumes. The toxic algae problem must be stopped immediately. The federal, state, and county and city governments need to be involved because the water quality issues are far-reaching. The federal governments need to make decisions about how the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers release waters from Lake Okeechobee into St. Lucie Estuary and Atlantic Oceans. The state of Florida will also need to make laws that are good for the estuary and for the ocean. Local government will need to get involved to make local laws. Local funds may also need to solve this problem.
We have identified 5 possible alternatives to the algae problem in St. Lucie Estuary and the Atlantic Ocean.
One, we could reflow the water south. We could also finish the comprehensive Everglades restoration program. We could fund the Calkins Water Farm, convert community septic systems to sewer systems, and approve local legislation to control nutrients and runoff. However, people are disagreeing about what to do with the problems in the estuary and the ocean. We could reflow the water south, but that would involve a massive construction project, which would cost a lot of money. Many people on the south side of Lake Okeechobee do not want to have to give up their land. The comprehensive Everglades restoration project will also cost a lot of money and will have to be purchased, and some construction would have to be done. The Calkins Water Farm would cost money to buy the land, and people disagree about whether this would be a good option. Many people need to get rid of their old septic systems. This is very expensive for homeowners. People will need financial help to deal with the cost of all this. Local legislation to control runoff is a controversial issue because chemicals keep Port St. Lucie lawns green. Many people do not want to obey the laws about fertilizer and other products.
Our policy. We want to support efforts to move the water south, to create water farms, and encourage people who have septic tanks to convert to sewer systems. We want to create a website to encourage people in the community to support these efforts. The federal government will need to be involved in moving the water south, since the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will be involved, and they are a federal government group. The state of Florida government will need to be involved in the water farm. Funds will need to be gotten to build the water farm and ensure that it can hold enough water from the lake to move it to make a difference in the amount that will be released from Lake Okeechobee. State and local governments will need to be involved to make laws that existing septic tanks will need to be converted to local sewer systems. Funds will need to be approved to help affected homeowners with this and help them fund.
Our action plan is to make our citizens more aware of this issue and possible solutions to solve this issue of the pollution and algae in the Indian River estuary and Atlantic Ocean on the shores of St. Lucie County. We have a website to address these issues, www.saveourseas125.weebly.com. We are trying to make everyone more aware so that we can get more laws to solve this issue. If people don't know about it, they don't know the problem that they need to solve. So if they don't know their problem, there will be no solutions, and this will go on and keep ruining our lakes, and Florida will deteriorate.
I'm thrilled to be here today for the annual Project Citizen Fair. This is such a great annual event coordinated by the Office of Teaching and Learning and Kate Ems. And we just love the opportunities that are provided to our students to learn about projects that help the community and become civic-minded. They are all so excited and their presentations are wonderful. I was just talking to some students and they exude pride and they really do have some good plans in place to help the community. So thank you for being here, and I hope if you didn't get a chance to come this year, you attend next year.
I'm Genevieve, and I go to Dan McCarty Middle School.
Hi, my name is Michaela, and I go to Dan McCarty Middle School.
My name is Kiarion, and I go to Dan McCarty Middle School.
My name is Javion, and I go to Dan McCarty Middle School.
And our school had the problem with school safety, which includes bullying and violence. And to solve this problem, we've decided to create a student-led safety council. Recently, a fight was about to happen, and that student actually decided to tell the teacher, and that teacher told the student to back off. When this happened, we will try to talk. We will try to get the student to discuss what the problem is. Our research shows in Ms. Hernandez's 7th grade civics class, we created surveys to hand out to random students that go to our school. We handed out 90 surveys out of the 820 kids at our school, and sadly we only got 37 back. There have been 115 witnesses so far, which is over 3 fights per person. However, students say they would report the problem, however they don't know how to. 24 of those 37 felt that they would most likely report the problem if they were rewarded. However, 4 of them said they would not do it either way. And we also asked the students if they would join the safety council. 27 of them said they would be involved. However, 13 of them said they can't and won't.
Hey, this is the level of government. Issue of school safety is a local issue. However,
To begin, we have to show an our idea to Ms. Sullivan and to get approved. Then it goes right. It can be brought up to school board and shared with other schools. Develop public policy alternative. Alternative extra surveillance. We will add cameras and more supervision during transition, lunches, and dismissal. We would put cameras where there is less surveillance. Alternative number 2, safety squad. We will have a student-led safety squad. We will meet at least once a month. Whenever a fight happens, one of these deans will try to pull the students involved in the fight ASAP to try to discuss the issue. The students will be in a room with 2 squad members and a dean outside in case things get out of hand. Of course, there will be cameras in the room. Alternative number 3, metal detectors and more SRDs. We will have metal detectors and attached at the entrance at the school. Also, we'll have more resources, deputies to spot and stop bullying and violence.
We're going to evaluate the pros and cons. Alternative number 1, extra surveillance. Recording of incidents will prevent school fights and more security on campus. Cons, it's expensive and they have no audio and we must hire more staff. Alternative number 2, the pros are helpful to students, communicate with staff, and students play an active role in keeping their school safe. The cons, time to meet and it promotes snitching and it's not enough students. Alternative number 3, metal detectors and more SRDs. Pros, less weapons, more supervision, prevents fighting. Cons, expensive, only one entry in school detectors, and the metal detectors only detect metal.
The action plan. The action plan for students. Safety squad is to have 3 representatives for each level. Those representatives will meet at least once a month with administrators and teachers. This will allow for students to take an active in making the school safe. Action plan. Students can bring up issues that are going on in the school, can communicate with them to administrators and teachers and faculty. All right. Effectiveness. Every year data will be collected to see how well the safety squad worked, and every year we'll make changes if necessary.
Junior.
Runso.
Westmeyer.
Harmony, and we are from Samuel Gaines Academy of Emerging Technologies.
Video game addiction is a serious problem. It is a serious problem. It's a worldwide situation because a lot of kids have a console or a game, and there have been reported deaths due to the situation. A guy has sat down for 72 hours straight playing a game, and he has died. If a kid plays video games for too long, they will go into another world, which is basically virtual reality, and they'll forget about their real life, and their grades and social interactions will go down, and they might not have many friends at school.
With the growth of video game addiction and the debate or whether it's actually a real addiction and a serious problem or it's just an impulsive problem, a lot of alternative has been put out to try to help this and solve it in any way possible. Those are treatment centers or support groups, specialized therapies as well. And these help the addict by separating them and detaching them from the fan fiction video gaming world. A lot of medicine can also help. If you play for too long, it can cause sleep disorders or fatigue. And then by using medicine, that can help you. And there's another problem because technology grows in in a day-to-day rate. So it wouldn't be a surprise if a lot of technology was made to attract more people into playing and getting them addicted into whatever activity they're doing with video games. And there's also the helpline you can call that the government provides us. You can call 1-800-662-HELP. It's open 24/7. It's open every day of the year, and it's in both Spanish and English for the speaker. But it doesn't provide counseling, and this is really bad because a lot of people don't have any transportation way, because what the helpline does, they transfer them to a different center or a service, and they won't be able to get there or even pay for the services. And this helpline should provide counseling.
The class policy that we came up with was school health education. This requires schools around the world to teach students about the dangers of video game addiction, because nowadays technology is becoming new, and even schools are allowing children to play with video games, and that's a problem. This policy does not affect anybody's rights, because according to the Florida Constitution, we all have the right to education. We feel that this video game addiction is getting out of hand, and as students we feel as if we have to step in and take action, because if we don't, we won't have a choice but to watch the situation worsen. This is why me and my fellow peers are teaming up today with our hashtag HFBBR, Have Fun But Be Responsible. This hashtag will inform many children, especially the students at my school, about the cons in video game addiction. It will help them understand that video gaming is not an everyday need. We also want to contact Microsoft Xbox support to explain to them our new idea for a game time limit. This will limit the time they be on their TVs and the amount of time they be on their games too. We also want to contact our school boards and our health professionals to come to our school and educate students on video game addiction. Remember, HFBBR. Have fun but be responsible.
Hi, I'm Jorge Rego.
Hi, Shania.
Hi, I'm Isabella.
Hi, I'm Paul, and we're from Southern Oaks Middle School.
So our board was about blue-green algae and how it's a rising problem in St. Lucie County and the state of Florida. So our main focus was to show our concern and try to find some alternative solutions to blue-green algae. And since blue-green algae is becoming a bigger and bigger problem in Florida, since it can cause very lethal side effects to humans and animals alike, and can cause fatal diseases in 15 minutes. We wanted to see if we could find any ways to stop or stagnate the growth of blue and green algae. So the problem was that blue-green algae is prospering more and more through Florida, and that could cause many problems in our ecosystem, especially Everglades, which is a big economic part of Florida. And if the Everglades gets messed up with its fragile ecosystem, our economic stabling in Florida could be messed up.
First, we started out by figuring out how the algal blooms were starting, and we noticed that there was many chemicals and stuff found in the water that was causing the algal blooms. So we came up with a few solutions as farmers could find an alternative place to dump their no longer used fertilizers. And if that could happen, the fertilizer and the chemicals and the warm water combined was causing the algal blooms. So advantages to this would be stopping the infestations of the waters, but disadvantages would be it is a long-term effect and would take a while to happen. Another one was natural filters in the waters, and the natural filters don't harm or they don't do anything to the fish or any other animals in the water, and it does help with causing the algal blooms to not come into effect.
Our public policy is reducing harmful chemicals from getting into our waters. Also, we would like to use natural filters, for example, Natural Flora. Natural Flora helps filter out the bad minerals and chemicals from our waters. If we kept the waters clean, then less algal blooms would bloom, which will also cause less issues. With this, we can stop or slow algal blooms from hurting humans or killing animals. Our solution to this problem is making sure harmful chemicals stay out of our waters.
With any good public policy, we need an action plan to support it. And what we can do for our action plan is find more environmental friendly chemicals that can do their job of fertilizing plants without harming the waters. We can also protest to raise awareness, like the Save Our Waters protest, and we can also put ads on social media and the internet. We can also try natural plant flora. It's called natural plant flora in waterways, septable waterways from blue-green algae, because also an added benefit is that the roots hold back soil, that erosion, so we have more land. It also, the erosion has sometimes heavy metals in it, and when the heavy metals get into the water, it activates harmful chemicals and brings it into the water. We can also go to our local school board and ask environmentalists or doctors to come on the stage or in an auditorium and talk about what the dangers and the harms to humans and wildlife the blue-green algae can cause.
I'm Mackenzie Fairchild.
I'm Abigail Ward.
I'm Jonathan Almeida. We are from Southport Middle School.
Our problem that we're doing for our project is we are saying how the overusage of plastic is a very serious problem because it doesn't only affect us health-wise, but it also affects the environment and the wildlife.
Our first alternative policy is to recommend that restaurants remove plastic straws from their facility and replace them with paper straws because plastic straws take at least 500 years to decompose and paper straws take about 3 months. Some advantages would be manufacturers of plastic straws would want to stop making them or just want to stop making them because they aren't making money for them. But paper straws are pretty flimsy, but it doesn't matter if it's helping the greater good of the community. Our second is to hold a public protest for bigger manufacturers of plastic products to kind of raise awareness of the issue. And our third and final alternative policy is to add an additional tax to single-use plastic products like bottles, cups, utensils, plates, etc. because we do use these on a daily basis multiple times a day, and half of the money of that tax will go into researching and developing a new product like biodegradable plastics, and the other half will go into cleaning up the mess we've already made.
Our action plan is to be able to help persuade other environmental groups by going on, proposing our ideas to them and showing how we will help fix the environment, and throughout our plan being by taxing on single-use plastic items and having the money given to the mayor to distribute into 2 groups to the environment, for Port St. Lucie St. Lucie County environmental regulations, to distribute into 2 funds for manufacturing biodegradable plastics and cleaning up the plastic problems already at hand.
My name is Tyler Addy.
My name is Chastity DeGraff. We're from St. Lucie West K-8.
Our project is about trash, bacteria, and mold, and is basically just describing how dirty our schools are and what we can do about cleaning up the schools and showing people that cleaning up the environment is something we should start doing and taking action towards our schools. And the problem with this, it's that the study that people are showing the schools are really dirty, because if you see here with the picture that we taken, the desks are graffitied and there's gum right here and just a whole bunch of dirt, and it is causing basically a whole bunch of roaches to come in and many insects just to start roaming around in our classrooms.
Okay, so the alternatives that we've seen is that health codes and standards and state requirement for educational facilities, and like mold policy and Department of Environmental Service and United States Protection Agency. These policies outline some of the rules and regulations that schools must follow when they are handling food, and the policy addresses the issue of heating, ventilation, air conditioning, AV HVAC systems in schools, and this policy addresses the ways in which mold issues should be handled and the federal rules and regulations regarding mold removal.
Our policy for our policy is that we should start supplying the kitchen for the kitchen ladies with new utilities, ensuring supplying hairnets for the cafeteria staff, unannounced health inspections monthly in the cafeteria, mandatory enforcement of hand washing in cafeteria, enforcement of cleaning floors while students are in the cafeteria, and enforcing supplying and use of separate floor and table cleaners. And for the schools, policy, monthly school health inspections, monthly pest control to perimeter interior of schools, organic / non-toxic products only, and annual pressure cleaning of exterior of the schools, cleaning under student desks weekly, and removing all carpets from classrooms.
And our action plan is to include creating a public awareness campaign to shed some light on the problem of our dirty schools. Influential individuals and groups who might be willing to support our proposed policies, parents of St. Lucie West County Schools, students of St. Lucie County Schools, and teachers of St. Lucie County Schools. And we influential individuals and groups who might oppose our proposed policy are some cafeteria workers, janitors, and health inspectors.
A reflection for it is Project Citizen has been a fun experience. As a class, we learn new things and how our government works and the concept of public policy. Public policy can sometimes be confusing. However, it is important to recognize that public policy deals with anything that must do with the government. For example, if a group of citizens collect food to give to the needy, that is community solution to a problem. However, if the local government sets up a shelter and feeds the needy that needs that, then that is public policy. Some students in our group still struggle to see the difference. Working on the board has allowed our group to see examples of public policy and understand the importance of government in solving community problems. The group had to learn to work together. It was a struggle at first, but most of us got the hang of it as time went on. It is important for us to realize that we're going to have to compromise because this is a group project, not an individual project. We learned that the government must compromise often too. It is important to have the skill and recognize when it is time to stop fighting for what you want and start working with those around you to come to an agreement as a whole. The advantages of working as a team were that we got to hear each other's ideas, and surprisingly our class had some pretty good ones. It is great that we could work together and build off each other's ideas for the project. The disadvantage of working in a team were that the group who wanted to be because they had an important role elsewhere. We had to give up some of the things that we wanted because we had to compromise. I learned that the responsible citizen means that you must be informed about how the government works. It also means that you must be aware of how to be involved in the government and local organizations that helps create a better society for everyone. It is important to be aware of the issues that face us locally, statewide, and nationally because being informed is a responsibility of a good citizen. If we are not participating in our government or our community, then our democracy could potentially fall apart.
In the works, we cited our 2014 state requirements for educational facilities and the Florida Building Code 2014 state requirements for educational facilities and the Florida Building Code NPND Web 28th and food safety and sanitation, hygiene codes and standards, mold resources, EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, statutes and constitution, view statutes online, sunshine, statutes and constitution, view statutes online, sunshine.
So I learned today that the kids' assignments was really, really great for government in the future because they were asked to identify a problem, but they were also asked to identify potential solutions and evaluate those solutions. And then even further, how to get those solutions to a practical result. I thought it was a great, great exercise. Project Citizen. It's my first time doing it. I really enjoyed it. I had to remind myself that they're in the 7th grade and they're eager and they're nervous, but there were varying degrees of preparedness and research, but by and large it was an excellent, excellent presentation from all of them.
My name is Laura.
My name is Arthur.
My name's Teresa.
My name is Miranda. My name is Samara.
A big problem that is affecting the bees right now is colony collapse disorder, which is mainly caused by pesticides and other things like varroa mites and etc.
Our proposed action plan to fix this issue is we would buy a 1,000 square plot of land, and then we would have a dome over it that's ventilated for the winter. It's ventilated for the winter because in the winter the queen can't, produce more bees to get honey, and so they die. We would keep a few extra spare frames on us so that if the bees die or we need to replace some bees, we'll always have them. And we will lay honey down in the hives in the winter to make sure that they have food. And it wouldn't be store-bought honey, it would be a small portion of what they produce through the season.
The alternative policies is currently that in Australia, America, Europe, and in America currently, we are trying to save the bees by having bees by using a bee genome. The bees have currently a weak genome that will mutate the bees to make so they won't get sick easier than they are currently.
In Europe, they're banning pesticides because pesticides are a main problem. They're killing bees fast and especially. And in Australia, no pests have affected their lands yet, which is good. America has a big problem right now, seeming we're all in America. And bees produce like 33% of our food, and without them we would die because without the bees, they pollinate our food. They pollinate trees and flowers, which provide oxygen because plants provide oxygen with us. And without the plants, we have no oxygen to breathe, so it kind of means the end.
Okay, our idea is constitutionally safe, and it does not violate any of the amendments.
Specifically, the freedom of speech, because saving the bees isn't violating anybody's rights to speak out or, have their religion and, to try and fix any laws. So, saving the bees aren't going to be interfering with anybody's personal rights. So it's completely in the Constitution and doesn't invalidate anybody's constitutional rights.
So our action plan is a physical plan instead of a plan where you set to decrease pesticides like other action plans that other groups would do. We decided on a physical plan as it is more effective. We were planning on making a dome as stated before. So we believe it's more effective and it will be quicker. Though it might be expensive, we're planning on having fundraiser instead of being government funded.
The reason why we'd like to be publicly funded instead of government funded is if we hand over our rights to the government to, have control over the bees and the crops that they produce, then they can charge us however much money they want for the crops that we worked hard to obtain. Well, more specifically, that the bees worked hard to obtain. We need around $1 million to create our action plan. So we want to partner ourselves with a beekeeping association. They won't be able to put much money forward, but that means they can make ads for us and have, help us with our fundraising and
bring our problem to the eye of the citizens, getting it noticed. It would be
we bring our problems to as citizens, we won't go unnoticed. So people will think, oh, bees can help us. Bees are dying out. We can save them. Hopefully, they will start fundraisers and stuff, or like help us with our project, because the bees are dying out faster than like they ever have before.
I'm Paige Madison.
I'm Samantha Cousins.
Hi, I'm Leila Yarmark.
Hi, I'm Aiden Madden. Oh, and we're all from Westgate.
TikTok, all you can think about is when you're going to be able to move again. Having students sit for 7+ hours a day can cause many problems, including behavioral issues, difficulty focusing, health issues, etc. We believe a student's lack of movement and flexibility in the classroom is a huge concern commonly found in schools. We live in a digital age of constant stimulus that we have to learn to control. We believe our education needs to change with the advances in our society. We surveyed parents, students, and teachers throughout the district. 91% of the people that responded agreed that focus is a problem in the classroom and could be caused by classroom orientation. Daniel Goleman, a psychologist, stated that we have more distractions than ever before. He also said children are particularly worried about because the brain is the last organ of the human body to become anatomically mature. Although many people would agree with us, some parents would disagree with us because their child could be doing fine, and if things change, it could make it harder on their learning. Community members would also disagree with us because they might not have school-age children and wouldn't understand why we would spend so much money on this. We believe our local government, specifically our school board, should help us fix this problem because St. Lucie School's mission is to ensure all students graduate from safe and caring schools equipped with the knowledge, skills, and desire to succeed. Their motto is every child, every day. By contributing to this problem, they could fulfill their mission and live by their motto.
Our first alternative policy is flexible seating throughout the classroom. Adding these options will help increase focus rates during school hours. Ms. Shambry, a 5th grade math teacher at our school, happens to include the flexible seating options in her classroom. These consist of bouncy bands and standing desks. We recently surveyed the students in our class, and the majority agreed that there was a significant academic improvement in their learning ability. Also, a study found that when using flexible seating, there was a 16% increase academically. Although there are many advantages to this policy, there are some disadvantages. The equipment can be expensive, and some teachers may be uncomfortable with the added supplies to their classroom. Our second alternative policy is social emotional learning and brain breaks. These solutions provide an amount of time during the school day where students can replenish their minds. Recent studies have shown that students with a high social and emotional competence score 21% higher than their peers in math and 20% higher in reading. On the other hand, there are some disadvantages. For example, many students may have extracurricular activities that our extended school day may interfere with. Although we believe that both of these ideas are worthy, each policy alone would not be the best solution.
We decided as a class that the best solution for solving the issue of focus in the classroom is a combination of things because each student learns a different way. To achieve this goal, we would like the St. Lucie County School Board to create a plan that can be helpful for students and teachers. As stated before, studies have found that when using flexible seating, brain breaks, and social-emotional learning, that academics, behavior, and focus improve. The policy we are proposing is to have all schools K through 12 equipped with at least one flexible seating option per classroom, at least 2 15-minute brain breaks, and that social-emotional learning be a mandatory part of the curriculum. Social-emotional learning has already been adopted by the district. We just need the funding. We believe our policy could be funded by Title IV, the Every Student Succeeds Act, and the Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act. Some advantages would be more flexibility in the classroom, teachers would be better trained to help us navigate through life, and potentially little to no cost because of the acts under Title IV. However, there are a few disadvantages we need to consider, such as teachers and parents having concerns that our policy might cause more focus issues. But the biggest issue we see is finding time for the course and where it would fit best into our curriculum. Our policy is constitutional because even though we are making it mandatory that teachers be trained, they have the right to leave the job if they cannot fulfill the duties set out by the district. We also believe this doesn't violate any student rights because any information collected would remain confidential and they have the right to opt out of the program. We know there is not a perfect solution for student focus, but as Albert Einstein was widely credited with saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again but expecting different results. We are passionate and believe there is no harm in trying something that could potentially have long-lasting effects on our future.
We established a mandatory plan of action to help student focus. We understood that it was necessary to create a community of support. We would need to influence parents, students, teachers, and school board members. We did this by interviewing people in our community, creating surveys for our community. We tried out flexible seating options ourselves and spoke to school board members. Something we still need to work on is taking suggestions from our presentation, attending the next school board meeting, and proposing our policy and making it a reality. We'll need to gain support from parents, students, parents, teachers, and school board members. We would, to gain support from those groups in St. Lucie County, we will speak at meetings and use a PowerPoint. Our PTO team, students, parents, and school board members support us because they want to see the students succeed in the classroom. Some teachers may oppose us because they might not be comfortable with it, but we can show them data to change their opinions. Florida House of Representative Member Barbara Watson recently sponsored a bill relating to our policy. Additionally, the Florida Department of Education is working towards a campaign themselves that this would support our policy even further. This concluding our policy is ready for proposal to become a public policy.
Hi, my name is Tindra Zawakis.
Hello, my name is Ariana Rivera.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Duarte.
Hello, my name is Kaylee Hunt.
I'm Reed Wilds and we're from Palm Point.
We are working on Project Citizen, of course, and our problem is that teens need to reach out about their mental health issues in school.
We've come up with 3 alternate policies. The first one being that a hotline would be installed in a private area of your school. A second would be that students would take a mental health class. A third would be that students would take a mental health test.
The first policy is that there should be a hotline in a private area where people could talk to an anonymous person. And then our second policy is where there should be a class which elaborates more on mental health and it helps and explains how they could help it and how they could express themselves about it.
So for our private hotline, it will cost around $200 per school year. And for our mental health class, it will cost around $52,125.
If we can help solve mental health, it could, basically mental health can sometimes cause people to get less time in class because they might not understand things as easily as they should. So if we can kind of fix the problems with mental health, people might actually start understanding curriculums better.
Yes, mental health is a big issue and we need to solve it because it impacts our schools and our state. Because people who suffer from mental health and don't have the time or don't use the effort to reach out, they can inflict self-harm or harm on others.
And suicide has been a big problem recently. There's been school shootings as well, and that also takes a big part in mental health.
A negative side of a hotline is that kids can just go to a hotline just to not go to class, and a negative side for the class is that kids probably don't want to pay attention, and that will affect them in the future.
As well as affecting them in the future, mental health can also affect someone medically and physically.
Hello, my name is Perla.
Hi, I'm Sophia.
My name is Harun.
And I'm Elise, and we're from Okamic. We picked gender equality because most history courses are tailored to teaching about rich white males. We are passionate to learn about individuals of different socioeconomic status, women and men of different races and ethnicities. Our civics course was created by Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, and we don't even learn about her contributions to society. Our goal is to make a curriculum to include a diverse group of individuals into all subject areas.
The women we have learned about are independent, determined, innovating, and passionate about the specific area. Mr. Spircio taught us about Shirley Chisholm, who was the first black woman to be elected into Congress. Student Susan B. Anthony fought for women's suffrage. Mr. Spircio taught me to read a book called I Am Malala, and she fought for education for women. Another case, Roe versus Wade, gave women's rights to choose for abortion. Rosie the Riveter empowered women to do a man's job, and Lucille Ball was the first woman producer and a famous comedian in the 50s.
As a male student, we do not discuss enough about women's societal impact. I believe we should get rid of the pink tax. Women should get equal pay and should be taught more in history.
We chose the topic of gender equality for our Project Citizen for
our Project Citizen topic because we want to make a difference in our state of adding female figures to the curriculum in all schools in Florida. We want to start off, since there has been no female president, we want to make a difference in starting off with females figures starting in school. So then eventually, hopefully, a female could potentially be our president. The topic of gender equality is very important in schools because it can empower many students, male and female, and it could also empower LGBTQ plus students, as well as students who may face racism, sexism, discrimination, and all kinds. So we wanted to start off by helping with equality of all genders.
Hello, my name is Ricardo Ramirez.
My name is Autumn Thomas. My name is Gabriel Prieto.
My name is Raul Posnick, and we are from Lincoln Park Academy.
In recent years, the quality of food in St. Lucie County has gone down. Over 1,500 restaurants have at least 10 health code violations and remain operational. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, each year 1 in 6 Floridians get food poisoning. That's 96,000 citizens. For example, the local restaurant Crazy Fish, which has a 4.5-star rating, has reports of rats and roaches crawling over its fish, along with Captain Hiram's, a restaurant rated number 1 in Sebastian, which has been found with over 100 roaches on its premises. Some people would disagree, saying that it would put restaurants out of business, but these restaurants shouldn't be allowed to serve people rotting food. The current system we have of satisfactory and unsatisfactory does not give enough detail to the consumer. We interviewed someone who worked at a St. Lucie County restaurant, and they said the way they cleaned was terrible, and they only cleaned once they knew that an inspector was coming. The government should get involved because it is a risk to public safety. It also cost $1.5 billion, according to the FSA. Sanitation is a big part of the problem, with a large portion of violation having to do with sanitary problems. For example, lemon slices with more bacteria than toilets, cloths covered in mold, and E. coli on the seats. It's problems like these that kill 50 people each year, and it needs to stop.
Hello, my name is Autumn Thomas, and I'll be presenting the alternate policies. There has been a recurring problem with food inspection. Too many restaurants are failing food inspections. My class has decided on 3 alternate policies to solve this problem. The first policy we propose is that the Florida Health Department's Food Safety and Sanitation Department inspectors open more offices, and that those new offices hire more qualified inspectors. The advantage of having this policy is that more officers and offices will provide more thorough and trustworthy checks, leading to restaurants being properly inspected and people to know that the food has been properly cooked and prepared. The disadvantage of this policy is that it would be a very costly investment to pay for both the construction of offices and paying the inspectors. The controversy of this policy would be that the government may not want to provide the funds due to the possible cost. The next policy we propose is that once inspected, restaurants are given a letter grade, A, B, C, D, or F, for the quality, preparation, and cleanliness of their food. The benefit of having this policy is that they would persuade the restaurant owners to be more careful about how their restaurants are maintained, for fear of the embarrassment of having a low grade and losing customers. The inconvenience of this policy, it would completely overrule the current inspection policies in place, and then it could possibly lower rates for restaurants. The debates of this policy would be the restaurant owners wouldn't want to have a grade for their restaurants out for the customers to see. The third and last alternate policy we propose is more strict consequences for food inspectors. One of the pros of this policy is that when the restaurants are getting suspended, the owners will most likely get their act together. One of the cons of this policy is that it could lead to restaurants shutting down and people losing their jobs. The dispute of this policy would be that the restaurants already believe the consequences they receive are strict enough. Thank you. Now here's Gabriel with the public policy.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Prieto, and I'll be presenting the public policy for the issue of food inspections in Florida. Through research, we found this is not only a problem in St. Lucie County, but throughout Florida. Our class came up with a policy to solve the problem of food inspections in Florida. The current food inspection system is done by the FDA Division of Hotels and Restaurants. Our current legislation is Chapter 509, Florida Statutes for Food Service and Lodging, Chapter 61C, for Florida Administrative Code, Licensing and Inspection Requirements, and the FDA 2009 Food Code for our current science-based system. Our new and improved public policy will add the concepts of letter grades. Our current scientific system has a file in which people can read it online or through the media like the TC Palm. The letter grades are a more efficient way to post how restaurant standards are met. In the Palm Beach Post, David Plunkett, an attorney for the Center of Sciences, says, "Reports are confusing. A letter grade gives consumers something a decision to make a decision with. People just want to be able to see how a restaurant's cleanliness is being met in a fast and easy way. The letter grade is posted at the front door for people to see it. The advantages of having a letter grade is the fact that it's so easily posted, but gives you just enough background to show if a restaurant is meeting the requirements or not, unlike the satisfactory or unsatisfactory. It also is useful if a child or teenager buys food at a restaurant. The letter grades we are proposing go from A to F, just like a school would. This tells the child or teenager that F equals a failed inspection and an A equals an excellent inspection, thus letting the child or teenager know if the restaurant is keeping clean. A disadvantage is that it may be misleading. It also doesn't seem as a priority to some others. Another disadvantage is that it may shut down more restaurants and fine them if they make a fake copy or not meeting the requirements. The letter grades do not violate the Constitution of the United States or the Florida Constitution because it does not break anyone's freedom, neither does it break any laws.
My name is Raul Posnick, and I will be presenting the action plan for the issue of food inspections in Florida. We plan on creating a public policy to have restaurants post letter grades by the entrance of the establishment. First, we need to contact government offices. We need to contact the Florida Department of Health to question about how the current system for food inspections work and what are the guidelines for commercial vending. Then, we need to contact the Florida Department of Agriculture to ask how they manufacture and sell crops, meats, and other comestibles for Floridian restaurants. Then, we need to survey the manager, or if present, the owner, on how often the inspectors visit and if they believe food inspections are fair. Then, with the manager, or if present the owner's consent, we will survey the employees to ask about how they keep the maintenance of the restaurant and if there needs to be any changes to food inspections. Then, we will survey consumers of Floridian restaurants and ask them what they think about the quality of food in Florida. Then we will ask if they have any complaints about any restaurants and deduce if it's outside of the Florida guidelines for commercial vending. We will propose a bill to the legislature and create a proposal for a public policy. Individuals who are willing to support our proposed policy might be Dolores Hogan Johnson, the member of the Florida House of Representatives from the 84th District in St. Lucie County, and Brian Mast, the U.S. Representative for Florida's 18th Congressional District. Restaurant owners, employees, and consumers of Floridian restaurants might also be willing to support. To win their support, we can provide them with all of the evidence that we have found and explain to them why this needs to be implemented. Individuals who might be opposed to our proposed policy are restaurant owners who constantly fail their inspections. Thank you.